motivates you to keep going?
See, your why has to be really stronger than being motivated. Like, I'm going to tell you this. At this point, I had a wife to take care of. We had our firstborn son. So that was my why. Like, if you don't have your why, your motivation is going to go in the shitter. Like, I'm going to be very honest with you. Now, here's the thing. When you're single, you have no responsibilities. You know you're going to go home. You don't have to pay rent. Your food is going to be there. You're not going to be motivated to do anything. There's no motivation at that point. Your only motivation is, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go home. I don't have to pay rent. That's easy. But when you're thrown in the deep end, man, trust me, you're motivated. You have no choice but to get motivated. You know, some days I wake up and guys ask me, Raja, we see your stories online. You know, like, how do you do this? How do you so active? I'm like, listen, if I'm not active, who else is going to be active? Like, who else is going to do the things I do? Like, now when we're running a companies, the only thing that gets me motivated is knowing that we are responsible for 10 livelihoods. 10 people who depend on me to be motivated. You know, so it just can't die. You just have to identify what your why is and really encapsulate it. I think we had a question there.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the session. Now my question is, how do you gather that kind of courage when people like you want to take risk? Like, what kind of thoughts goes into your mind? Like, for example, when you decided that you're going to be a dropout, like you want to start working, and then the moment when you decided that you want to do a sales job. So what kind of thoughts were going into your mind at that time, that you wanted to take risk, even if you had so many responsibilities at that moment? That's all.
Yeah, I was actually very scared. I was very scared because I dropped out, no skills, no money, like no one to basically mentor me. It's a very scary feeling, you know. But the thing is, the only thought that goes through your mind is, okay, what if it doesn't work? You know, whenever you start to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to start this new project, or I'm going to start this new venture, I'm going to start this new business, the first thought that comes to your mind is, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if I waste my time? What if, like, you know, no one buys it, right? Those are all those are negative thoughts that come to your mind. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Now I have my kids, right? They're like 8, 4, and 2, almost 2, right? Now, here's the thing. Whenever they fall, I never go to pick them up. I never tell them, hey, don't do that, you're going to fall. Or don't do this, you're going to slip. I never do that because this is all brought in us from a very, very young age, right? This whole feeling of what if things go bad? You know, but like, here's what you need to do. Whenever you start to do something, ask yourself, what if you do get business? What if people do buy from you, right? What's the worst that's going to happen? It's going to fail. That's it. Are you going to die? Is someone's going to take your life? No. As long as you're still living, you're going to make it back up. Like the only thing that I was used to think at that point was that the number of people who have made it in life after failing over and over and over again, after failing in their 30s, failing in their 40s, 50s, but making it in their 60s, that's the only thing that made me keep going, because always think about the fact that, okay, if I start this new business, what if people buy from me? What if it does work? Like, if you look at Dubai, right? You look at UAE, in the beginning, people must be thinking it's a big rock of sand which is not going to happen. But like, look, the leaders here, they had a vision. And their vision was far greater than we can even think about it. But now when you look at Dubai, like, it's a place where the whole world wants to come and do business, right? So we're very small. We're very small in comparison. You're just going to fail. But when you fail, at least you're going to learn something and you're going to be wiser. Any questions?
Think about what would happen if you had not done it. What would happen if you had not tried to create that company? So when you will be many years from now, you know, in your last few days, think, I did everything I wanted to do within reason. That's it. Nothing else to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So now that you guys know how to monetize your social media, I expect everybody in this room to be rich.
Yeah, I expect now you guys know what to do when you have followers. I hope most of you have a lot of followers, and if not, this should motivate you to have a lot of followers, not only for the fame, but, well, for the money. Everyone speaks money. All right, so the next talk, we have some very, very, very interesting guests, guys. We're going to have two different perspectives about it. The next talk focuses about the body.
Yeah. Mastering your body, mastering your brand.
So, please, guys, this one I need to hear. I need your hands to be like boiling red. You know, I want you to look back after your clap and be like, wow, that hurt. All right? So please help us welcoming to stage the former UFC champion and heavyweight champion, Mr. Alistair Overeem. Loud clap, please.
Wrap it up, yeah. Yeah. Who's going?
And our next guest, guess this, Arctic explorer, Dani Afiouni.
And it's gonna be moderated by Mr. Kas.
Okay, so have a seat, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for Brand Me Summit for hosting us. And yeah, without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Dani Afiouni on stage and Mr. Alistair Overeem. So let's get straight into it. Today we're going to be discussing mastering your body, mastering your brand, and the UFC champion mindset that every brand needs. Today's session is going to be moderated by myself. My name is Kas Syed, and I'm joined, as I said, by Alistair Overeem and Dani Afiouni. So the first subject matter we're going to be covering is going to be on consistency and conditioning. So my first question is going to be for Alistair, and it's going to be: a champion's body needs consistent conditioning to perform flawlessly under pressure. So what are the daily small things that brands must consistently do, which leaders often neglect in favor of the big things? So yeah, just over to you, Alistair. Yes, hello everybody. Good morning. So let me answer that question by what always helped for me. What helped for me was to invest in myself, invest in my physical body, be the best I can be. How do I do that? I do that through nutrition. I use the ice bath regularly. And I would notice when my system is working at its best, I could do everything I wanted. Before, this was very important during my sportive career. Now I'm going into a new phase. So I kept these routines, healthy diet, ice bath, I do breath work, supplementation. So these are one of the couple of things that I do to keep myself and my brand at its best.
Amazing. So Alistair, I mean, you're known globally for your ability to stay calm and composed under extreme pressure. So you spoke about ice baths and hyperbaric chambers, which you're working quite closely with Dani. How did you build that mental control? That's my first question. How did you build that mental control during your career?
Well, with me, I've had a long fighting career. 30 years of training, 25 years of actual fighting. And I can tell you, when you're doing the fights, it's extreme pressure. Already training is high pressure, but fighting is extreme pressure. And I just noticed that once I was about to walk to the ring or about to walk to the cage, I wanted to hold on to my energy. So I just kept myself calm. And without even knowing what I was doing, I was just breathing easy and holding on to my energy. Now, years later, there's a lot of studies, there's a lot of data
There's the ice bath. You can just go in the ice and stay calm. So there's all these extra tools to help you. But I was already doing this 25 years ago during my first couple of fights. Stay calm, hold on to your energy. Because it's actually very logical. If you have to fight in 5 minutes or you have to fight in 1 hour and you're like all pumped up and hyped up and you're losing energy, it's a waste. You want to stay calm, just breathe, hold on to your energy, and then when it's time to make the walk to the ring or the octagon, you're going to walk. And even then, hold on to your energy. But once that bell goes, that's the moment that you want to go. And until that time, hold on to your energy.
Now, there's been beautiful chemistry between yourself and Dani. Dani, I wanted to ask, what can CEOs learn from the fighter mindsets and from your relationship with Alistair, where discipline always beats motivation? So a message to the CEOs out there, such as yourself.
Yeah, so a couple of things from my perspective, and you know, being inspired by Alistair helps a lot, because when you apply the mentality of stay calm and composed, you harness your energy so that you can do something I call noise versus signal. And this is something Kevin O'Leary said in a great way, and he said, most of the CEOs that focus on signal and have the ability to take away noise from their mind are able to become big achievers and are able to lead their teams into great milestones. And so my journey in Arctic exploration and my journey in expedition mountaineering has been that, you know, because when you're climbing towards a summit, you don't have time to waste. You don't have time to waste over anxieties that you have or preconceived notions that pull you back from your objective. When you're climbing, when you're expedition climbing, you focus on a small set of objectives that are going to take you from level to level to level on the mountain so that you can achieve the summit. Now, if you take an abstraction of that from the mountaineering world and you apply it in the business world, you also have to focus on the signals that take you to your milestones to be able to achieve or, you know, cross the finish line or achieve a milestone in business. So for me, I call it signal versus noise.
Amazing. There must be some similarities there for you during your career, Alistair, over the last 25 years. Have there been similar times in the various camps you've been in where you see some resonating sounds?
Many times. So signal is what you want to do. Distraction is noise. And you want to stay focused. You want to stay on course. For me, very important to have a plan. In the plan, you know where you're going, you know what your direction is. There's going to be friends, there's going to be allies. And yeah, the distractions, you don't want to put energy in distraction. There's basic rules. Everything you give attention, everything you pour energy in becomes more. So if that was a distraction, so let's say in my fighting years, go out and party, that's not good. It's not helping my mission. So that was how I kind of made that separation.
So just from an audience perspective and you know, from a fan's perspective as well, when we say blocking out the noise, sometimes I want to look at it from the fan's point of view. So when you're fighting, the noise and the audience sounds, is that what we're talking about, noise? Is that something you block out? And how did that compare? Maybe I think you had a fight during COVID, right, where there was no audiences. So did that impact your performance? How did it feel like performing in front of an audience versus without? And is that what we're talking about when we say noise?
Very interestingly, when I fought for many audiences, right, 20,000 people. The biggest was 88,000. Was in Japan, 2003. Chuck Liddell, beautiful arena full of Japanese, great fans, by the way. I don't know, I was in a hyper-focus. Because of slow breath, because of a lot of energy into my preparation, I became in a hyper-focus. I never really, noticed the fans. During COVID, there were no fans, which was a new experience, no fans. So it was very quiet. You could see the judges, you could see, the people on the cage. Very interesting. For me, it was like a new, a brand new experience. So it kind of gave me energy. Right, everything new gives energy. But and if you would ask me what I like or what I prefer better, fans or no fans, I think when there's more energy in the people, there's more tension. when there's more people. Yeah.
Okay, good. So the next section is going to be on reinvention, identity, and the second chapter. So I'll start with you, Dani. So Dani, you left an 18-year corporate career to create something completely new and futuristic in wellness. So for the audience members and all the viewers out there, Dani's business is the Longevity Wellness Hub in Dubai. So when it comes to reinvention, how did that look like for you? And how did you find clarity in your new purpose after leaving the corporate world?
So let's break down the word invention, reinventing yourself, right? What does it mean? Because when someone goes through a transformation, it's coming from somewhere, and I call that the seed. So there's always a seed planted inside you, very, very early on, and then you kind of are passionate about inventing yourself to be able to stand 20 years down the line where you've always dreamt you would stand, right? And so if you break that down, there's always an unexploded seed in everyone, and if they obsess enough and they take enough action, they're able to live their dreams. My dream always was to either be a pilot or a special forces person, like a special forces soldier. And obviously, life went in so many different ways, I couldn't achieve that. So at the same time, in my corporate journey, I was very successful, but I felt unfulfilled in that journey. And so you go about reflecting so much to the extent that you want to make sure that you can live up to your own expectations. And this is where the kind of the seeds comes in. It always drives you in a natural way to have a vehicle to achieve your dreams. And my vehicle was extreme sports. I started by being a professional skydiver, and then I started doing charity for children's cancer by climbing mountains. That led to endurance races. I started doing survival races. I started doing very long ultra marathons. I started doing Arctic exploration. But during that journey, you reflect so much and you meet your true self, because on these expeditions, you're sometimes spending 1 month with yourself without technology and sometimes without people. And if I'll give anyone advice here, please be brave enough and curious enough to do that, because you're going to learn so much. And this is when kind of the dormant seed inside you explodes. And this is where it becomes a whole world of recognizing basically that there's a peace and clarity that comes with that gives you the way forward. Now, my journey was a 20-year journey, but the outcome of that journey was peace and clarity. And the outcome of that journey was I founded what I'm passionate about today, which is well-being, wellness technology, and quantum physics, right? But it's a journey of 15 years that requires you to have a seed and a vehicle. These two, when they meet, they allow you to basically know what you want to do.
Amazing. Brilliant. So when we talk about reinvention, Alistair, you're going through a bit of a reinvention yourself. You've lived a lifetime in one chapter, and you're now building another chapter in your life. So what does it feel like to start again after global recognition, global fame? And who are you today without the fighter label? So let's say the fighting's done, the reinvention, the rebranding's happening. So what's next for Alistair, and how does that look like for you?
Yes, it's actually a very exciting time for me. We're working very hard behind the scenes, and it's interesting how it came about. I was always very interested in the longevity aspect, which now is described as longevity, but during my fight career it was more like recovering from injuries, eating the right foods. Hey, this is working a little bit better than that. So for me it was a 25 to 30 year journey of kind of figuring things out. And for many years I was thinking, what will I do after my fight career? I kind of was setting it up, okay, real estate, I don't have to do anything anymore, but we now know lying on the beach is boring. It's not going to give you any fulfillment. And so it kind of came to me during my first mobile phone detox. Very super, just put your phone down 1 month, it's going to happen. So I did that, and I had felt a shift. And during this shift, I experienced like, hey, wow. Already during my career, I was doing so many things, but now I had a real big shift for feeling better. And that kind of gave me the direction of I want to bring this into the world. So not only the phone detox, there's like a lot of other knowledge there, nutrition, diet, training, hot and cold. And this is also how me and Dani connected. Same interest. He's also like a little bit the maniac, right? Climbing the mountains. I'm doing that in the ring, in the cage. So instant connection, and yeah, very exciting mission. I expect us to make a big impact worldwide. Of course, my career took me to Japan many years. America. I want to go everywhere with the plans. So yeah, very excited.
Amazing. Guys, I'm just going to take a small a pause and ask if there are any questions from the audience. If not, we might need a microphone. Anyone? I need the sound team. So we'll pause there. Guys, if someone can get a mic into the audience, I'll go on to the next question, but I'll get back to you, sir. So the next one was going to be about decision, making partnerships and trust. So we'll start with you. So, I mean, we collectively have made a lot of huge decisions together. So how do you balance gut instinct, data, timing, and how important is trust and communication behind the scenes? So I'll start with you, Dani, your interpretation, and then same question to you, Alistair. So the question, once again, is about trust.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, really, because sometimes, you know, the gut evolves. They say when you look at a newborn, even in the womb, the first thing that develops in a human being is actually the gut, and then the rest of the body gets developed, right? And a lot of your emotions and a lot of your hormones are actually made in your gut, and so the gut nowadays, according to me, is not the second brain anymore. It's the first brain, but the gut learns with time and experiences. So it's very modular, it's very multidimensional. It depends on how much you know yourself, it depends on how much you have peace and clarity, it depends how much you're close to your intuition, and that comes with experience. And so trust is inherent, trust is given. But then, you know, you go about different perspectives and you realize that sometimes a lot of issues happen between people because their perspective about outcomes is different. And that usually results in trust problems or bad outcomes. And so today, the only thing that I can tell you is time, right? You leverage time and you leverage a process. You leverage a modus operandi of making sure that there is checks and balances and making sure that there is due diligence. And if you combine it with a lot of your own experience, then this is how you can basically choose the right partner. Now, the other thing I like to do is whenever I'm partnering with someone, I see how they conduct their life. I see how they are with their family. I see who their friends are. And I see how the food they eat, you know, how they take care of their body, how much they love their body, and how much they love their mind as well. And so it's very multidimensional, but it's a tough one. Trust is one of these abstract concepts that has so many angles to it, and so many lenses to it, and so many perspectives to it that you really have to have a lot of time and experience.
Amazing, amazing. So, Alistair, you and I have known each other for 15 years now through the team in Holland. It's been a hot minute. So, same question to you, Alistair. How do you balance data, timing, instinct? I mean, we've spoken over the years about your intuition and how that has improved since the fight career was over. So, again, same question to you. How important is trust and communication behind the scenes, Alistair?
Well, trust and communication behind the scenes is crucial. It has to be good. Not medium, not even looking at bad. It has to be good. You have to have a clear and positive communication. I think manners is crucial. Politeness is crucial. Otherwise, you cannot be on constructive endeavors. How do you keep that good? I think there needs to be some form of accountability, as well as joining in Dani, what he mentioned about, there's also an observance factor, right? You're observing what is the person in front of you. If the person in front of you has proper behavior, the trust will be given quicker, right? If you can kind of tell after many years, right? That's also a little bit what experience give you. I fell down a couple times. I think that's also part of life. You fall down, you get back up, but you learn. And through this learning, you get experience, and then people give you either a good feeling or a bad feeling. And when I work with people, it is actually mainly you initiate on that feeling, but then you also need to remain vigilant and observant to see if somebody keeps their word, keeps promise, keeps delivering, right? Because people they can fake you. They can pretend to be something, and then after a while they're not that, and then that's a little bit how I learned to develop that through the years.
I think we've seen our fair share of that over the times, I'm sure.
There's another one that I'd like to share as well.
Yes.
Many years on the mountain, I came up with my own analogy and guidance. I call it the bag analogy, right? Imagine your mind was like the bag you wear on expeditions while you climb. If you're going to fill it up with things that you think you need, but you're not going to use, then it's just going to weigh you down, because it's going to weigh heavily down on you. And so is your mind. So if you take literally my bag on my first expedition in Africa, I had around 70% of things I had packed thinking I would need, because this is part of human nature, right? You think you need things, but you don't. And so I packed 70% more things than I actually needed on that expedition. And the more I went on expeditions, the more I realized that this I don't need, this I don't need, this I don't need. If you compare Africa versus Alaska, which is my last expedition, my bag was 70% lighter. And if you take an abstraction of this and apply it in real life, my mind is 70% lighter from the anxieties, preconceived notions that I don't need. And that gives me more signal, and that shaves away the noise. And when you do that, you're also able to connect with people better, right? So that's one thing I wanted to share.
Amazing. Guys, I'm going to go a little off the cuff. The gentleman, I don't think we have a mic, but if you want to just, sorry. Guys, as much as we have a format of a fireside chat, I'd like to throw any questions from the audience before we go into the second segment.
Hi, my question is to Alistair. Just wanted to know, in your illustrious career so far, when you had fights with your competitors.
If you can move the microphone just a little bit further away so it reduces the echo. Perfect, there.
Yeah, in your illustrious career so far, when you had several fights with your competitors, before you walk into your fight, if you have already won in the earlier fight, does that, it obviously gives you a competitive edge, but purely in terms of your antics of how you approach mentally, before even you put up the first blow, how do you ensure that you do have an edge on that fight?
Okay, so just to reframe if I can understand your question.
I heard fight a couple times, so I guess that's me, but maybe you want to come up and then...
Yeah, I think if you just come to the front, I think it'd be better. Sorry. So just to reframe the question, are you talking about the fighter mindset before you walk into a cage or a ring?
I was just asking you whether in your
come on the stage.
I was just asking you in your career so far, when you have fought with your competitors, right, and you have won in those competitions, and you again fight them the next time around.
The rematch?
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a mental edge. You have a competitive edge over them. So how do you ensure that before even you start the fight, you have already won the match? Literally by your antics, by how you...
Yeah. Okay, so if I can repeat the question, how do you make sure that you win your fight? And also in the rematch, how are you going to make sure you win in the rematch? I had a couple rematches, not too many. I think 2, maybe, or maybe 3. So how do you win your fight? Everything is in the preparation. Everything. What you do during the preparation, you build up shape, form, and the form decides who's going to win. And I learned through my sport, turning the buttons. Diet is a button, training is a button, sparring partners is a button, and then there's so many buttons, and this builds up your strength, your awareness, your power basically, and if you have a higher power, you will defeat the opponent. Now they're also turning their buttons, but I learned, hey, the more buttons you can turn, you're just gonna go higher. Now, is there a physical component? Yeah, there is a physical component, right? In the stare down, you're looking at each other. I could kind of read a lot there. Ultimately, you never know if you're gonna win. You only know if you fight, right? And that's a little bit the test.
Just one more question. Does your modus operandi of how you operate as a fighter, irrespective of whether you've won or you have not won, does it remain the same?
Okay, no mic? One more time? Sorry.
No. Does your way of operating, in terms of whether you've won the fight or not won the fight, does it remain the same?
Okay, does the operating system works after a win or after a loss the same? I would say after a loss I was way more sharp. Of course you want to win your fights, you want to always win, but after, I've had a long career, 94 fights. So after a couple fights, complacency does set in. And you're just thinking, hey, I'm really special, or things can happen. And then I would lose. And I would really look at all the buttons, and I would really get a super motivation. So I would say it changed drastically after a loss. I would be more motivated to win again. Absolutely. Yeah. The rematches, I was always motivated, right? And I would say I was always motivated for every fight, but after a loss, there was extra motivation. All right.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. Right, the next subject is going to be on wellness, longevity, and leadership. So the first question is for you, Dani. So Dani, longevity is not about living longer. It's about living better. So can you explain how quantum scanning, recovery protocols, and personalized wellness impact leadership, decision-making, and clarity?
Yeah. Look, a lot of the findings we have from many people we work with is a lot of the issues you have in your gut causes you brain fog and causes you any hormonal imbalance. And so today, the objective really is to work with people so that they never have to reach the door of a hospital, right? And so sometimes we obsess about living longer, but what we should really be doing is living better, or what I call spending time in good health. And so that is a precursor to finding out what's going on. And what we do is we've mobilized technology that can basically detect electromagnetic signatures of either parasites or pathogens or heavy metals that can actually inflame you and hold you back from your objectives. And so what we go about is a protocol of informing you and giving you actionable insights about your well-being so that you can discover, do I have parasites? What are they doing to me? Do I have pathogens? Am I inflamed? Do I have heavy metals? And then when you cleanse all of that, it's interconnected, so you're going to wake up in the morning feeling energetic. You're going to wake up in the morning feeling productive. And so it's a protocol approach that scans, informs, treats, trains, and recovers. And we do it with what we call quantum frequency scanning technology.
So this is something that you and Alistair have been working quite closely on. Alistair, very similarly to the question from the gentleman in the audience, physical discipline is part of your identity. I remember when we first spoke in Dubai, we were being approached by Skydive Dubai, and they were very keen to get Alistair to jump out of a plane, and management were like, hey, listen, his body's his temple, we don't do that. So in terms of physical discipline, why is taking care of your body the foundation of leadership? Because whereas you did work with a management team, you really were the one that was kind of controlling the ropes. So the question is, what routines keep you functioning at the highest level? So daily routines.
Yeah, so to me it's paramount I keep my physical condition at its highest. So that means for me I work out Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday I take off. It's very important to understand the work-rest relationship. You need rest, the nervous system needs a break to actually become stronger. So work, you deplete, you get tired, and then rest, rebuild, get stronger. So for me that's physical exercises, running, sprinting, I'm fighting still once a week. What else do? I supplement, not heavy, but I take the essentials. Easy, magnesium, yeah, all kinds of
I mean,
things.
you've been asking me to take seaweed for a while and the beneficials of seaweed. I mean, you're a big seaweed fan, right?
I'm very big of seaweed, yes. Everybody who knows me knows that. Okay, what else do I do? Ice bath, a lot of ice bath. I would like to do that Monday to Friday. 3 minutes, 20 minutes, it's fine. I'm actually building up to an hour again. I like heat in the evening before sleep. So in the morning, cold, wake up. And in the evening, de-stress, heat before sleep. And then what else? Breath work, a lot of breath work. So I have my calendar out and there's monthly fasts in there. It's like kind of complicated, but I like to be health conscious. I know this, hey, I feel great, the system is working as it should. And let's not forget, I've been in this game for the last 30 years, so I'm very in touch with my body, and I can tell you I feel the best I've ever felt because of all these lifestyle interventions.
Amazing. So, Dani, what does the next decade look like for the Longevity Wellness Hub? So, you have your facility in Al Quoz, which we're going to be shifting to DIFC, if I'm not mistaken. So, what legacy do you want to leave behind and hope to leave in the wellness, leadership, and human performance when we look at that?
Well, look, my dream, if people after a long time say that this is a term that I love to be kind of attributed to, and I call it a wellness architect, which means someone who is involved in the science of well-being that is personalized for you, so that we help you not only get over all of your issues, but we help you to age well and always have peace and clarity. So wellness architect is one of them. But you know, on the human side, I just want to be a good husband and father and son, basically. Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm going to wrap up with two more questions, and we'll shift to the audience. So Alistair, what would you like the world, after fighting, what would you like the world to remember you for?
Well, the fighting was beautiful. I traveled the world, we made a couple bucks, we became champion 6 times, world champion. I don't know. Now it's a new phase. We're out to set new records. It would be maybe a little bit too premature to kind of throw it all out here, but it would be actually very nice if I have to choose one. I believe this generation will have the chance to become older through intermittent lifestyle, through supplementation, through the science, and maybe it would be cool to be the first person to be 125 years old, right? Or even older than that, 150.
And the same question to you, Dani, before we turn to the audience. What would you like the world to remember you for?
Well, someone who's helped, work on a lot of, someone who's a researcher and an educator as well. It goes back to the wellness architect mindset, right? Someone who's helped figure out things before you have to land in a hospital. And that's what all medical institutions will tell you. Our objectives, our hope is that you never come to us. And so there's so much science that we're involved in today from a frequency perspective and from a research perspective that analyzes a lot of the things that people go through that are inflammation-based, that are gut-based, that are central nervous system-based. And so I hope to be remembered as a researcher and an educator, but a wellness architect.
the wellness architects. So guys, just before we wrap up, are there any, there's a microphone here, a gentleman in the blue check shirt. You might need to keep the mic a little bit away, but yeah, I'll try and catch your question and rephrase.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My question is, like, now you have my voice clear, yes?
Yep.
Okay, my question is, like, how is life there? I mean, everyone who is here, they are looking to be brand, to be successful, but you already got the milestone. You already have something, and I mean, how does it feel? Like, for me, myself, we got the small goals that we already had, we got it. And the feel that we were supposed to have it, we didn't have it. About you guys, that you got the biggest goal, at least one or two of your life. How does it feel and how is that?
So to reframe your question, are you talking about coming back from setbacks, basically? Is that the question?
Exactly.
So coming back from setbacks. So first, I'll get Dani's opinion and then Alistair.
Say that again.
How to come back from setbacks. So the gentleman was saying when you have small, short goals and they're not achieved, and you kind of get knocked down and then you don't achieve your objective, how do we overcome setbacks in business?
Look, as a founder and an entrepreneur, I faced what I call entrepreneur fatigue, where at some point in time, I lost hope and almost gave up because I thought that my concept back in 2019 would never work. But then I took a step back and I said, why am I doing this? If it helped me become stronger, and it did, all my protocols in wellness and wellness tech and longevity made me so strong mentally and physically. And so I was my own evidence. And so if there was something I was passionate about and I created, and then I saw the influence on me, then that gave me the fearlessness to say setbacks are short-term, but the vision and the objective is long-term. And there's something I always say, and I'd like to give you as an advice. Sometimes we substitute long-term happiness with short-term pleasures. And the opposite applies. Sometimes we think that short-term setbacks are the long-term effect or the long-term failure. They're two different things. So I'd like for you to set a distinction between short-term failures and overall failure, right? Short-term failures are things you take a step back from and you learn, but you continue towards the same objective if you're passionate about it and it's given you change. So, I mean, that's my experience that I can share with you.
Once you got that succeed that you were looking for, at least one or two of the biggest goal that you have, did it really give you that pleasure that you were looking for?
Can you just repeat the last section of your question?
Did that really give you that pleasure that you were looking for?
Oh, so when you've achieved your long-term goal, does it give you the pleasure?
Yes, all right. The long-term goal, there must always be a goal, right? If there's no goal, then you can drift off. So a goal is, number one, a long-term goal. So I think a long-term goal everybody shares is happiness, longevity, well-being. For me, it was one of my first long-term goals was the world title, world championship. Now, en route to that world title, there's going to be a loss. Okay, is that then the end of the world? No. You have to go back, look at what you've done, trainers, coaches, supplements, all the factors that you know, and make adjustments, and then go back at it again. And I don't know, I did it for a long time. I always, I've had setbacks, I've had 2 or 3 losses in a row, I've had injuries, I've had all kinds of things, but I always managed to go back to the plan, create a new plan, hit it again hard, and come back stronger.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, guys, unfortunately, that's time for us. We'd be happy to take any questions off the record, off stage. We're going to be in and around the arena. Happy to take your questions, and it's been a pleasure talking to you all. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. Thanks, guys.